Hello guys, welcome back. Now today, I'm going to be talking about Jack Hughes versus Kaapo Kakko and who will go first overall. Now Jack Hughes has been the consensus first overall pick in the 2019 draft for quite a while. But with Kaapo Kakko's amazing season in the Liga, who is actually the better prospect and who will actually go number one? The battle for the first overall pick between Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko was and will be the biggest storyline heading into the 2019 NHL draft. And of course, Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko leading the charge and really are the two only contenders for that first overall pick. Now, both of these kids are seriously talented. The things that they are good at are just amazing, and you get to watch them on the ice. They are both one of the most talented players in this upcoming NHL draft. And whether you prefer Jack Hughes or Kaapo Kakko, you really can't go wrong with picking either number one because they're both seriously great talents. And the debate between Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko and who goes number one was already it was already a very big conversation before the World Junior Championships. Jack Hughes was ranked number one, and Kaapo Kakko was ranked number two by a lot of different people. But with this World Junior Championships, we got to see both players play, and I would say that the race and the tightness between the two prospects has never been closer than it has been right now. And with this past World Junior Championships, of course, both players had a bigly prominent role on their respective teams. Jack Hughes, when he was healthy, was a big part of Team USA. Kaapo Kakko was a huge part of the Finland offense. And when it comes down to it, we got to see them both face off against each other in the gold medal game in the World Juniors. And that was a ton of fun to watch. It was one of the biggest storylines throughout the game. And of course, Kaapo Kakko got the last laugh, getting the golden goal for Team Finland. Now, we know both players are seriously talented. That's why they're both in the conversation for the first overall pick. But when it comes to both Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko, how are their stats compared so far this season? Now, we're going to start with Jack Hughes' stats so far, and of course, he has been a prominent player for the USDP. So far this season, he's played 25 games, he's gotten 10 goals, 38 assists for 48 points. A very solid stat line, and while it wasn't as much point per game as it was last year, he has kind of regressed a little bit, but it is still very impressive stats for that first overall pick. And in the World Juniors, he didn't really disappoint either. Now, Jack Hughes didn't have the most healthy World Juniors ever, but the games that he did play, he was very impressive in. Now, he played 4 games in this past World Junior Championships. He got 0 goals, but he got 4 assists for 4 points. And that's pretty solid, especially for a 17-year-old to be a point per game in the World Juniors. When we look back to Connor McDavid, he wasn't even able to get much ice time. He wasn't able to play that much. But in the games that Jack Hughes did play in, he was a dominant force for USA. He got a lot of ice time, and the ice time that he did play in, he was very impressive on even strength and on the power play. Now, switching over to Kaapo Kakko's stat line, in the Liga so far, he has been absolutely brilliant, and with his Liga stats, that's why he is so comparable to Jack Hughes and why he might be the first overall pick, is because of how well he's playing in the Liga. Now, so far, in 27 Liga games, he has played he's gotten 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. That might not look impressive, but in the Liga, as a 17-year-old, playing against adults, it is very impressive, the point numbers that he's been able to put up, and how well, in general, he's been able to play. Now, in this past World Junior Championships, Kaapo Kakko was just straight brilliant for Team Finland. In 7 games, he was a lot more healthy than Jack Hughes. He got 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points, and one of those goals was, of course, the golden goal for Team Finland to win the gold medal over Team USA. And that was a clutch moment for Kaapo Kakko, but even in the other games, he was brilliant offensively. One of the better Finnish players I thought throughout the whole tournament. He got a lot of stuff done. He was very talented, and he looked like maybe the first overall pick. He was looking like it out there, and with Team Finland, of course, getting the golden goal, he was able to get that clutch goal in the clutch moment. But really, both players have had fantastic seasons so far. Both players were really brilliant in the World Junior Championships. There was a lot of spotlight on both players. And of course, the rivalry between the two is going to be fantastic throughout the next few years, especially since we got to see the battle of them in the World Juniors and in the gold medal game. But while Jack Hughes had a great season in the USDP, I would give the advantage to Kaapo Kakko's season in the Liga right now. I mean, with Kaapo Kakko, he's been able to put up 20 points in 27 games, which in the Liga is difficult on its own. But as a 17-year-old, he's been able to do so many great things. He's been able to play great with TPS, and he's overall been a fantastic prospect to watch so far in the Liga. And I'm not surprised that he's been able to put up the points, because the guy is freaking talented, and the puck skills and the puck handling that he has are really one of the best in the draft. But in the World Junior Championships, it's hard to pinpoint who had the advantage in that tournament, since of course Jack Hughes was not healthy for all the games. In the 4 games that he did play, he was fantastic. He was able to set up some clutch goals for Team USA. But Kaapo Kakko was of course consistent, he was healthy, and we got to see a lot more of him in the tournament. And I was really impressed by Kaapo Kakko in the World Juniors. He was really one of the cogs in that Finnish offense, and he was one of the greatest players throughout Team Finland's roster. And that's especially hard to do as a 17-year-old and coming up in a team like Team Finland, who is very, very solid. Of course, they won the gold medal. They're a pretty solid team, but as a 17-year-old to play that well, and of course get the golden goal, it's something that not a lot of 17-year-olds are able to do, and it wasn't even something that Jack Hughes was able to do. But again, both players were a big part of their World Junior Championships team. I don't think USA would have gone as far if they didn't have Jack Hughes, and I especially think that Team Finland wouldn't have gotten so far if they didn't have Kaapo Kakko. So both players were valuable to their teams, and at 17 years of age, that is honestly one of the most impressive things you can do. It's to just be on the roster at age 17 is impressive enough, but to dominate the competition and be playing greatly in the tournament is something that, again, not a lot of prospects get to do. And of course, when the two players met up together in the gold medal game, Team USA versus Team Finland, it was an amazing game, and both players definitely came up to play. Jack Hughes was solid, and even though he was a big part of that power play that didn't get much going, he still had a pretty solid game. And of course, Kaapo Kakko was brilliant. A lot of offensive chances in that game, a lot of offensive opportunities, and of course, getting the golden goal against Team USA and against Jack Hughes really got a debate going. But of course, since both players had fantastic seasons up to this point, both players were fantastic in the World Juniors, the debate between who will go #1 has never really been closer before. So with that, I'm going to compare the two players with 6 categories: puck handling, shot, skating, defense, hockey IQ, and last but not least, physicality. Now, for the first category, we have puck handling, and while Kaapo Kakko does have some great hands, he can definitely handle a puck pretty well. I gotta give this category to Jack Hughes. Not many prospects can beat Jack Hughes, especially when it comes to puck handling, and Jack Hughes, when it comes to his strengths, puck handling is certainly one. When it comes to his dekes, what he's able to do, we see it a lot in the USDP, he just toys with defenders sometimes. The dekes that he's able to pull off aren't just fancy, but they're smart and poised, and with that, and with Jack Hughes, he makes a smart play all the time, and when he has to deke, he does it very, very well and almost flawlessly. So, while again, Kaapo Kakko does have great hands, I wouldn't say he's the best in the tournament. Jack Hughes might be it. Next up, we have shot, and this one was very, very close. Both Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko have brilliant shots, and they are both lethal when it comes to the shot, but I'm going to give the slight advantage to Jack Hughes here. Of course, he has a lot more assists than he has goals in the USDP, but he's still putting up the goals there, and the goals that he does have are very, very pretty. He does tend to pass it a lot more. We saw that in the World Juniors, but if he wants to shoot, he has an absolute cannon. He's kind of like a Connor McDavid in the sense that he will dish it out a lot more than he actually shoots it, but when he shoots it, he's absolutely lethal. Now, the next category is skating, and this is the one category that I think Jack Hughes has by far on Kaapo Kakko. With puck handling, you could make the argument for Kaapo Kakko. When it comes to his shot, they're both very, very close. But when it comes to skating, he really skates Kaapo Kakko out of the water. Jack Hughes' biggest strength is his skating. He is so fluent, he is so smooth with his skating that you wouldn't even notice he had any problems. His edge work is great, but when it comes to his stride and of course the actual speed that he can get, he is so good in that aspect. And of course, when it comes to his biggest strengths, I think skating has to be Jack Hughes' favor. Kaapo Kakko, I would say one of his weaknesses is skating. He's not as fast as Jack Hughes, obviously. He isn't as smooth as Jack Hughes. Not many prospects are, but I think something that Kaapo Kakko will want to work on in the future is his skating. But Jack Hughes already has that down. On to the next category, and that category is just defense in general. I didn't want to spread it out into any more categories. I thought 6 was pretty good, but when it comes to defense and the awareness in general, I feel like Kaapo Kakko takes the cake here. Kaapo Kakko is a lot more of a, I would say, two-way forward than Jack Hughes, and while Kaapo Kakko I wouldn't say is a two-way forward, he's more of a shooter and a playmaker, he still has a lot more defense than Jack Hughes. While Jack Hughes doesn't have bad defense, it isn't really his strong suit, it isn't really his strength, and we don't see him pay too much attention to it. Of course, he's a lot more of an offensive guy. But with Kaapo Kakko, he does a lot more on the defensive end, he pays a lot more attention, and of course he has a lot more effort than I would say in Jack Hughes in the defensive end. So when it comes to defense, I would almost have to give it to Kaapo Kakko. The next category is hockey IQ, and this one could go either way here. You could say Kaapo Kakko, you could say Jack Hughes. I mean, when it comes to the top 2 prospects in this draft, both players are very, very smart, both in their own end and in the defensive end. But when it comes to hockey IQ, I gotta give it to Kaapo Kakko here. Jack Hughes, yes, has a lot of good smarts. He knows the right plays, but Kaapo Kakko is, I think, on a whole other level. He just knows where to be at all times. He knows where to stuff the puck in. He knows where his teammates are, he knows where to pass, he knows where to shoot, and he knows everything almost before the puck comes onto his stick, and that's something that, with Kaapo Kakko, I think is one of his better strengths. When it comes to the hockey IQ, again, defensively, it also comes in, but while Jack Hughes is a very smart player, Kaapo Kakko is definitely better. Now, last but not least, the last category is physicality, and for this one, this is the one category that Kaapo Kakko just absolutely landslides in. While Kaapo Kakko is not a physical player, I would say, he does a lot more body checking, he is a lot more strong on his skates than Jack Hughes. While Jack Hughes, yes, he is a great skater, he sometimes uses that to his advantage, but sometimes he gets a little bit roughed up. Again, with his smaller frame and his smaller size, he is a lot more vulnerable to big hits and big players, and we saw that a little bit in the World Juniors where he did get injured for a few games because of that. But with that, Kaapo Kakko doesn't really have that weakness. He already has the size, he already has the physicality built in, and while he isn't a physical player first, he definitely uses that to his advantage, unlike a Jack Hughes. But when looking at the categories, of course, I listed 6 major categories in hockey play. Jack Hughes ended up getting 3 of them, and Kaapo Kakko ended up getting 3 of them. So when it comes to the debate on who is better, I would say Jack Hughes is probably better offensively and more offensively gifted, but Kaapo Kakko is a more well-rounded player and definitely has more of the other areas of the game definitely down when it comes to defense, hockey IQ, and physicality. Kaapo Kakko pretty much blows Jack Hughes out of the water, but Jack Hughes, of course, has that offensive potential, and we've already seen that in the World Juniors. But honestly, the debate between who will go first overall can go both ways. It really determines on personal preference and where you see both guys. But when it comes down to it, to me, both players are very, very close. You can make the case for either player to be number 1, but again, this is still a debate, and I still have to pick one guy here. And again, it's really hard to choose between the 2 players, at least for me personally, because Jack Hughes, of course, I'm a USA fan. I am born in USA, so I got to root for my USA guys. But Kaapo Kakko is also my favorite prospect in this 2019 NHL draft. I do love the guy a lot and his play style. So when it came to picking number 1, especially right now, right after the World Juniors, when both players were playing well, it's one of the hardest decisions I've had to make, and especially with prospects, right now, there's really no better debates. Especially when it comes to Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko, you could really go either way. But if I had to choose one player that I would personally pick number 1, I would have to go with Jack Hughes. Even though they are both very, very close, Kaapo Kakko is still an amazing, amazing prospect. I feel like Jack Hughes just has more offensive potential than Kaapo Kakko when it comes to his stick handling, when it comes to his overall talent offensively. And while Kaapo Kakko still has a lot of that, I'm not sure if it lives up quite to Jack Hughes, at least not yet. There's also the question of who actually goes number 1, and that's a pretty hard one for me to say because, of course, we still have quite a bit of hockey left in this hockey season, pretty much 4 months left for both of these players, so we'll get to see a lot more of these players, see the cold streaks, the hot streaks, who gets better and who the stats keep continuing. But if Kaapo Kakko still plays well in the Liga and still continues to go on this pace, I feel like there will be a definite conversation still at draft day, whether it's Jack Hughes or Kaapo Kakko going number 1, and sometimes it just depends in the team, but if Kaapo Kakko continues to dominate the Liga, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes number 1. But again, Jack Hughes is the more established prospect. He has been #1 for practically the last 2 years. So when it comes to this draft and for the prospects and these scoutings, I really do think that Jack Hughes probably has the advantage here when it comes to the overall prowess. And of course, everybody knows who Jack Hughes is. Kaapo Kakko is starting to finally get that recognition that he deserves. But I feel like with teams, it will depend on the team that actually wins the lottery, who they will pick. But again, the race right now between Kaapo Kakko and Jack Hughes has never been closer, and that's what makes it so fun. So for me personally, I would still rather have Jack Hughes. I would still rather take Jack Hughes #1, but that's not saying Kaapo Kakko is a bad prospect at all. He is still amazing, and of course the race between the two is so close right now. And I know other people might prefer Kaapo Kakko, people might prefer Jack Hughes, but honestly, I'm just having fun listening and watching this race unfold, because in the next few months, we'll get to see the really battle between the two prospects heading up to the draft. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, who do you prefer, Jack Hughes or Kaapo Kakko? Who do you think is the better prospect? And of course, what do you think? Who will actually go #1? But if you guys want some more grab videos, you can watch this video where I'm going to compare my 2019 World Junior Championship predictions to the final standings. But that is going for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on this topic, whether you prefer Jack Hughes or Kaapo Kakko, and I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.